As John Kirby, the NSC spokesperson, just said, there are no U.S. government balloons over the People's Republic of China. None. Zero. Period.
Thank you for doing this. I wanted to follow up on the remarks they made about the PRC. Madam Deputy Secretary, the episode of the purported spy balloons, surveillance balloons, there have been a couple of shoot-downs over the weekend. I was wondering if you could shed any light on that, and more broadly, whether you see a continuing threat from surveillance balloons by the PRC. And also to Vice Minister Zhou and Vice Minister Mori, the United States has said that 40 countries roughly have experienced overflights of surveillance balloons by the PRC. Are your countries among them? Do you perceive the threat in the same way? And just briefly to everyone, in terms of dialogue with the PRC, have you had contact recently, either on this specifically or more broadly? I know that Foreign Minister Hayashi will be going to Munich. Secretary Blinken, we're expecting him as well. Could you see meetings there with Wang Yi or others from China? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. Sean has just given us an example of how to ask 3 questions as one. Don't take his advice. Sean, I would say to you that John Kirby just has spent more than a half an hour answering questions on the balloons, and so I would urge you to look at the transcript for the definitive word as of this afternoon on all of this. In terms of the original balloon that was taken down last week, we are absolutely confident that this was a surveillance apparatus of the PRC and that it was over our territory, and we had every right to take that balloon down, as we did safely in territorial waters off of South Carolina, so that we protected the American people, protected our own military sites in the way that we did so during its flyover of our country. As to the takedowns over this weekend, as you will hear from John Kirby, these were 3 objects that gave us concern because of their altitude, that they were a potential risk to civilian aircraft. And we worked with the Canadians since at least one, and the second may have fallen in the Canadian part of Lake Huron, to work with Canada and NORAD to address the risk that we saw. The President has asked the National Security Advisor to put together an interagency team so that we can do a better assessment of where we are, what's up there, how we should respond to them, has asked us to go out to partners and allies around the world and get a better understanding of what's surrounding all of us in airspace. But I would send you to that transcript for really the definitive word on all of this. On the issue of dialogue, as Secretary Blinken has said consistently, and as he has said to Wang Yi, as we have all said to the PRC, we are open to dialogue when it is in our interest to do so, and we believe the conditions are right. I know there's been a report about a potential meeting in Munich, but I have nothing to announce today.
Hi, Aya Guizhou from GG Press. Thank you for this opportunity. I have a question for Mrs. Sherman and another for Mr. Mori and Mr. Zhou. To Secretary Sherman, can you describe the current level of communications your office is having with China, cancellation of Secretary Blinken's trip, and when do you expect a high-level meeting to resume? It's been reported that Secretary Blinken considering meeting his counterpart in Munich, and can you confirm on that? And to Mr. Mori and Mr. Zhou, what is your response to China this morning accusing the U.S. of illegally flying its own balloon over China? Is there any support you can offer the U.S. to push back against state-level misinformation? Thank you.
So thank you very much. As I said in response to Sean's question, Secretary Blinken, in his conversation with Wang Yi, said that because of the surveillance balloon over U.S. Territory, that and the actions that we reserve the right to take, which we subsequently did, that conditions were not right for the wide-ranging dialogue that we'd hoped to have with the PRC, but that we remained open to conversation, discussion, and rescheduling a trip to Beijing when conditions were appropriate. As far as Munich is concerned, I have nothing to announce today. Obviously, there have been reports of the potential of such a meeting, but I have no announcements today. Before my colleagues answer your question, let me add a fact, which is very important. As John Kirby, the NSC spokesperson, just said, there are no U.S. government balloons over the People's Republic of China, none, zero, period.